They say you can't choose your family, but what happens when your family becomes your child's biggest bully? My name is Sarah, and I never expected the person who would hurt my son the most wasn't a stranger, but my own aunt. She humiliated my autistic son in public, at a Walmart of all places, dragging him out of a toy line like he didn't matter. But what she didn't know was that I was done staying quiet. What I did next made headlines in our town. And let's just say, she won't be shopping at Walmart again. Ever. Before we dive into this emotional and satisfying revenge story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our real-life stories that hit deep. Now, let's begin. Walmart had always been a safe space for my son, Lucas. He's 8 years old, autistic, and incredibly passionate about trains. Every time a new toy came out, especially train-related, he'd count down the days until we could go see it in person. This time, it was a limited edition locomotive toy he'd been dreaming about for weeks. He knew the exact release date, watched unboxing videos online, and even practiced what he'd say when asking the store clerk for help. For Lucas, routine and preparation were everything. We arrived early that Saturday morning. The toy section wasn't crowded yet, but a small line had already formed for the new train release. Lucas waited patiently, clutching his sensory ring and whispering train facts to himself. He was so calm, so proud. And then my aunt walked in. My Aunt Brenda was not invited. She had never understood Lucas, called him spoiled, said he just needed discipline, and rolled her eyes when he got overwhelmed in noisy places. But she just happened to be there that morning, acting like it was a coincidence. She spotted us immediately. "Oh, what are you two doing here so early?" she asked with her usual fake smile. "We're just waiting for the train release," I replied calmly. Lucas didn't even look up. He was focused on his countdown app. Brenda stepped closer and looked at Lucas with a strange expression. This is what he's waiting for," she said, pointing to the toy poster. I nodded. Without warning, she reached down, grabbed Lucas by the arm, and said loudly, "You've been here long enough, sweetheart. Let someone else have a turn." My entire body froze. Lucas screamed, a guttural, terrified scream that shattered the air around us. She had pulled him from the line. Shoppers turned to look. A few whispered. Lucas was now curled on the floor, rocking and sobbing. Brenda looked annoyed, not remorseful. "He needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around him," she muttered, not even lowering her voice. I pulled Lucas into my arms, shaking. I tried calming him down, whispering his favorite train names, but his world had collapsed. I wanted to scream, to fight. But instead, I stood up, and quietly walked away with my son. But in that moment, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. At home, Lucas stayed silent for hours. He didn't want to eat. He didn't want to play. He didn't even want to talk about trains. I sat beside him, devastated. That moment at Walmart had shaken him to his core. For a child with autism, stability and trust are everything. And Brenda, someone he had learned to tolerate, had destroyed that fragile balance. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her hand on his arm, yanking him away like he was a burden. The next morning, I tried reaching out to Brenda. Maybe, just maybe, she'd realized what she did was wrong. But she answered the phone with a laugh. "Oh, come on, Sarah. He's a kid. He'll get over it. Stop babying him." "I'm not babying him," I said through clenched teeth. "He was traumatized. He's too old to be throwing tantrums in public." "He was terrified, Brenda. You don't understand autism. And clearly, you don't care to." She hung up. No apology. No empathy. I wanted to protect my son. I wanted to scream. But most of all, I wanted to make sure Brenda never had the power to hurt him again. So I made a plan. But first, I needed proof. Brenda was a regular at that Walmart. She used her employee discount, though she wasn't an employee. She was using her sister's old discount card, something she bragged about at family dinners. It gave her a false sense of entitlement, like the store belonged to her. She often argued with staff, returned used items without receipts, and treated employees like garbage. And people noticed. I started by talking to one of the assistant managers, James. I told him what happened with Lucas. I expected some polite nodding or a rehearsed apology, but to my surprise, James listened. Really listened. He sighed. "You're not the first person to complain about her." That lit a fire in me. He said he couldn't ban anyone without an official report, but if I could provide a statement, maybe video evidence, they'd be able to escalate the situation. I filed the report. I gave a written statement detailing everything, what she said, how Lucas reacted, the crowd that watched in silence. James promised to review camera footage from that morning. I waited. Nervously. I didn't tell Brenda. I wanted her to be blindsided, just like Lucas had been. Days passed. Lucas slowly started talking again. He avoided toy commercials. He flinched when strangers got too close. But at least he was eating again. Then James called. "I think you'll want to come in," he said. "We found the footage. And there's more." I walked into the manager's office, heart pounding. James pulled up the footage on a small screen. I expected to see Brenda pulling Lucas. What I didn't expect was everything else. The cameras had caught her entering the store, cutting in front of a line, berating a cashier, and finally, approaching Lucas with an impatient scowl. Then came the moment she yanked his arm. My stomach twisted. Seeing it from the outside made it worse. She looked like a stranger. Cold. Ruthless. "She's been a problem for months," James said, folding his arms. "But this crossed a line." He paused the video. "She can be permanently banned. We just need your consent to move forward with the incident report." "Do it," I said immediately. "And I want to be there when you tell her." He hesitated. "That might be tricky. But I'll see what I can do." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the footage. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of the humiliation she had made my son feel. I didn't want revenge for me. I wanted justice for Lucas. And now I had it. She had no idea what was coming. Brenda had no idea I had gone to the store, filed a report, or reviewed the security footage. She went on with her life like nothing had happened, posting selfies, arguing with her neighbors online, even bragging about how she handled Lucas at Walmart. Meanwhile, I waited for the perfect moment. James called again. "We're ready. She's here now. Customer service. She's trying to return a blender with no receipt." I smiled. Perfect. I grabbed my purse and rushed to the store. My heart pounded, not out of fear, but anticipation. When I walked in, I spotted her arguing with a teenage cashier. "I told you, I bought it here. You think I can't return it just because I don't have a receipt?" James approached her from the side with calm authority. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step into the office with me." Brenda turned around, annoyed. Then she saw me standing near the entrance, and her face changed. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" I stayed silent, just watching. James calmly escorted her to the back office. She followed, muttering the whole way. I waited a few minutes, then joined them. That's when the fireworks started. Inside the office, Brenda was seated across from James, arms crossed, fuming. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "I didn't do anything." James pulled out a printed statement. "Brenda, we have reviewed multiple complaints about your behavior. But more importantly, we reviewed this." He turned the monitor around and played the footage. I watched her face change as she saw herself on the screen, grabbing Lucas, rolling her eyes, pulling him from the line like a rag doll. I didn't mean anything by it," she stammered. "He was taking too long. I was just helping." James didn't flinch. "You put your hands on a child who isn't yours. In our store. Without cause. You caused a scene, frightened a minor, and violated store policy. We are enforcing a permanent ban effective immediately. Brenda turned to me, red-faced. You set me up. No, I said calmly. You did this to yourself. I'm your aunt. You're siding with a kid who can't even talk straight. I stood up. That kid is my son. And if you can't respect him, you don't deserve to be around either of us. Security was called. They handed her the formal notice, stating she was banned from all Walmart locations in the state. Brenda screamed all the way out, yelling about lawyers and ungrateful family. But the truth was, she was powerless now. And Lucas, he would never be treated like that again. The following weekend, Lucas was unusually quiet. He hadn't asked about the train toy again, and part of me wondered if he was afraid to go back. So I asked him gently, "Hey, would you like to try Walmart again? Just the two of us." He hesitated, then gave a small nod. That was all I needed. I planned everything perfectly. We went early, before crowds. I brought noise-canceling headphones, his sensory ring, and his comfort toy. James had even set the toy aside for him behind the counter. When we arrived, a staff member greeted him by name. "Hi, Lucas. We've been waiting for you." His face lit up like the sun. He was escorted to the toy counter, where they handed him the box, his limited edition train, still in perfect condition. He held it with both hands like it was treasure. And to him, it was. He whispered, "Thank you," and the staff clapped softly for him. We paid and left without incident. On the way out, Lucas turned to me and said, "You made it safe again." I nearly cried in the parking lot. At that moment, I knew, revenge wasn't just about punishing someone. It was about protecting the people we love. About rebuilding what someone else tried to break. And slowly, piece by piece, we were healing. Chapter 8. Family Fallout. It didn't take long for the rest of the family to find out what happened. By Monday morning, my cousin Teresa had already texted me. "Did you really get Aunt Brenda banned from Walmart?" I didn't answer right away. I needed time to think. But then came another text. "She's freaking out. She said you tricked her. Is it true?" I finally replied. No one tricked her. She pulled Lucas out of the line, humiliated him, and made him cry. I reported it. Walmart did the rest. There was silence. No response. I assumed that was the end of it. But I was wrong. That weekend, we had a family barbecue planned at my mom's house. I didn't want to go, but Lucas was excited, and my mom promised Brenda wouldn't be there. Still, the tension was thick when we arrived. Whispers followed us. Side glances. My uncles avoided eye contact. Even my grandmother looked uneasy. I held Lucas's hand tightly as we walked to the backyard. After a while, Teresa approached me. "Can we talk?" We sat on the porch steps while Lucas played with his trains nearby. Teresa sighed. "I don't want to take sides, but Brenda's family. You could have handled it differently." I looked her in the eye. "Would you have stayed silent if someone grabbed your son like that? In public?" She didn't answer. And that said everything. After the barbecue, things changed. Invitations stopped coming. Group chats went quiet. I was still family, but barely. My mom tried to mediate. "They're just upset, Sarah. They think you humiliated her." "No," I replied. "She humiliated my son. And no one cared." Even Lucas noticed the difference. He asked why his cousins didn't invite him to play anymore. I told him the truth. Sometimes grown-ups need time to understand things. What hurt most wasn't Brenda's reaction, it was everyone else's silence. The way they excused her behavior. The way they treated Lucas like a side issue instead of the victim. I had stood up for my son. And for that, I was being punished. But I didn't regret it. Still, the weight of the situation grew heavier each day. Brenda went online, spreading rumors. She claimed I was trying to ruin her life, that I was obsessed with revenge. She even posted a video ranting in her car about crazy autism moms who can't take a joke. I saved every post, every comment, every threat. I wasn't done yet, because there was one more thing I needed to do. One afternoon, as I sat reading through Brenda's latest online rant, a familiar email popped up: Disability Advocacy and Inclusion Group, monthly newsletter. I had joined their list after Lucas's diagnosis, but never got involved. Until now. Something clicked inside me. Maybe Brenda was just one person, but there were hundreds like her. And maybe my story could help others speak up. So I wrote to the group. I detailed what happened at Walmart. I included screenshots of Brenda's social media posts and explained the emotional impact it had on Lucas and me. Within days, the group responded. They wanted to feature our story in the upcoming newsletter. I was nervous. Exposing our lives publicly wasn't easy. But I read the draft they sent, and it was beautiful, respectful, powerful. The piece ended with this quote from me: "When people say nothing, they protect the abuser. Silence is not kindness. It's complicity." The newsletter went out the following week. It reached thousands of families. And the impact was immediate. Strangers wrote to me. Other moms. Teachers. Store managers. People who'd experienced similar things, but never had the courage to speak up. And then something unexpected happened. Walmart Corporate reached out. When I saw the subject line, Walmart Corporate Relations, Request to Connect, I blinked twice. I opened the email slowly, unsure of what to expect. It was short, polite, and shockingly sincere. Dear Ms. Walker, we recently came across your story through the Disability Advocacy and Inclusion Group. First, we want to apologize deeply for your and your son's experience. What happened should never have occurred in our store. We would like to speak with you further, with your permission, about how we can improve training for our employees and provide a better experience for all families. Sincerely, Community Engagement, Walmart Inc. I reread it twice. Not only had they taken the story seriously, they were asking for my input to make change. Lucas was sitting on the floor, playing with his train set when I hugged him from behind. You started something big, buddy. You really did. I agreed to the call. A week later, I was on Zoom with 3 representatives from Walmart's Inclusion and Accessibility team. They listened, took notes, asked smart, heartfelt questions. I told them about the fear, the embarrassment, the silence that followed, and how store staff, like James, made the difference. We're building new modules for staff training, one of them said. We'd like to use your family's experience to shape part of it, if you're comfortable. I said yes. It felt like the beginning of something better. Good news travels fast, but bad news spreads like wildfire. Once word got around that Walmart Corporate had reached out to me, Brenda lost her mind. She left me a 6-minute voicemail calling me every name in the book, playing the victim, claiming I had ruined her life, saying I had manipulated the system for attention. She even said, "So now you're some kind of spokesperson for special needs? Who do you think you are?" I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Because while she was busy spiraling online, the people around her were slowly backing away. Friends unfollowed her. Her neighbors left passive-aggressive comments on her posts. Even Teresa messaged me again. "Okay. I get it now. I'm sorry I doubted you." I appreciated the message, but I didn't reply. I didn't need apologies. I just needed space. One day, I saw Brenda at the gas station. She froze when she noticed me. I walked right past her. Calm. Silent. Unbothered. That moment. Better than any argument. Better than shouting. It was peace. And that was something she could never take from me again. A month after the Walmart call, I received another message, this time from a national parenting blog. They had seen the advocacy newsletter and wanted to interview me for a feature on parent voices that sparked change. I hesitated at first. I didn't want to exploit what Lucas went through. But after talking to him, yes, talking, I realized he wanted to help too. Can we help other kids feel safe? He asked one night, playing with his train in the bathtub. Yes, I told him. That's exactly what we're doing. The interview went live the next week. It was raw and honest. I shared the entire journey, from the moment Brenda pulled him from the toy line, to the family silence, to the support that eventually followed. But I also included this message. This isn't about punishment. It's about protection. Children with autism deserve dignity. And when we speak up, we make room for that dignity to grow. In stores, in families, and in ourselves. The article went viral. I was invited to speak at a local school district's training day for teachers and staff. Emails poured in from moms, aunts, even strangers who said, "You gave me the courage to speak." And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. A few months passed. Lucas had started smiling more, talking more. He began drawing trains again and lining them up by category: steam engines, diesel, electric. His world was growing again. And mine too. We were invited to attend a special event hosted by the local Walmart and the advocacy group. It was a family inclusion day, and Lucas was going to cut the ribbon to open a new quiet play zone in the store, designed for neurodivergent children like him. When we arrived, there was a small crowd. Managers, parents, employees, even 2 kids from Lucas's school. There were bubbles, calming lights, and train-themed decorations. I could barely hold back tears. Lucas stood proudly next to the ribbon with his scissors. He whispered, "Is it okay if I go slow?" I nodded. "Go as slow as you want." He cut the ribbon in 2 gentle snips. The crowd clapped softly, and Lucas grinned from ear to ear. A woman from the advocacy group leaned over and said, "Your story didn't just change a store policy. It reminded people how to listen." And that's when it hit me. This whole thing started with a single, cruel moment. But because I refused to be silent, something better was built from it. That night, I held Lucas close. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt proud. Months after everything calmed down, Brenda tried to reach out again. This time, it wasn't angry or cruel. It was a letter. She wrote about feeling attacked, abandoned, and misunderstood. She said she didn't mean to hurt anyone. That she didn't really understand autism. That she had never seen things from my side before. But now she was trying. She didn't apologize directly. But she ended the letter with one sentence that stuck with me. "If I could undo it, I would." I stared at that sentence for a long time. Then folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. I didn't need a full apology. I didn't need her in our lives again. But maybe, just maybe, she had learned something. As for us, Lucas and me, we had moved on. Stronger, closer, clearer about the kind of people we wanted around. He had started building his own toy trains out of cardboard. Naming them. Designing them. Giving them personalities. One morning, I asked him what he would name his newest one. "Justice," he said. I smiled. That's perfect. And to all the parents out there who feel powerless in the face of cruelty, you are not alone. You are not small. And when you stand up, not just in anger but in love, you make room for the world to change. If this story touched you, please support our channel by liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing for more powerful real-life stories. Your support helps these voices be heard, and helps protect children like Lucas. Thank you for listening.